Good morning. Hey guys, it's Cathy Iconis with QBOchat going live this morning for some coffee. She's happy. So let's see if anyone else joins in on the conversation this morning. Sorry. I was trying to do Facebook Live from my computer, but it wasn't working. So I'm on my phone this morning, which it doesn't look that bad, right? I'm looking at it on the screen and then at me. I'm like, I'm not sure if it looks bad or not, but we'll go with it. So how are you guys doing this morning? What's going on? I'm gonna flip my hair. It's Tuesday morning. 9/11, which always gets me going. So it's gonna be a slow day for that. And I just took my first round of steroids to help with my neck and my back. I get to have an MRI soon. Yay! And let's see. And I get to I have my last cleanup course session today. That'd be cool. Gonna finish everything up. Kind of going into really more difficult transactions like undeposited funds and AR, AP, and like the sale, like liability accounts, the sales tax liability and payroll liability accounts. Like how do you clean up those? So dealing with that stuff today in our training session, but I will be doing another cleanup course. Look, my messy calendar. I also have a calendar on the wall behind me, but yeah, I'm like, I don't know. So I wasn't able to do, I see comments on here. Have a very busy day ahead. I'm an accounting supervisor for a governmental department. Hope you have a good, productive day. That's awesome, Nicole. What kind of work do you do as an accounting supervisor? That sounds cool. I love hearing about other positions and stuff like that. Because there's so much in accounting that we don't know about, or like people don't understand about, that there's so many places and potentials that you can go within the field. And like, that's all I heard in college was there's so much you can do with accounting, but it still wasn't, here's everything you can do, So, grant accounting. That might give me hives. Be honest. I was never great at the government or nonprofit. Like, I went through college. I got an accounting degree, and those, for some reason, nonprofit and governmental accounting is kind of like towards the end of advanced accounting or something like that. We didn't spend a lot of time on it. And when I studied for the CPA exam, again, didn't have to spend a whole bunch of time on it because it's part of one exam. But it gave me the hives all the time. So kind of freaked me out at times. So, but that's awesome. That's super cool. And it sounds exciting. What you doing in QBOchat? Like, do you guys do any QuickBooks stuff, or are you doing stuff on the side? Got a side hustle. I'm betting. Like, I don't think, I'm going to look for the answer. You're trying to retrain yourself? Man. Government accounting gives me hives. Now, give me forensic accounting? That doesn't necessarily give me hives because I did it. But yeah. Yeah, side hustle. That's pretty cool. So there was a thread a couple of weeks ago where I said if you're looking for to be a subcontractor or something like that, you could put your information in there, so that maybe someone will reach out to you to, do some side work. Because, for a side hustle, that's usually a great way to get started, because you don't have the ability to do as much marketing as possible and communicating with new clients and stuff. I remember I was working in industry for a huge construction company, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing some bookkeeping on the side and stuff. Well, having initial conversations with clients and stuff, I couldn't really, it was within business hours. So it just wasn't very easy. So I think the easier way of doing things is to try to subcontract some work out, and that way you get some experience under you, and you see where it goes from there. Grow it from that way. So, but also so I mentioned that post that was a couple weeks ago. So you should be able to search within the group, say subcontractor. But if you search, I did post last night, if you have a position within your firm and you're looking for someone, I posted a thread so that you can share what kind of job you have, I put some information on there, and then how they can reach out to you. So feel free to utilize that thread to be able to share that information. I know someone had reached out to me and asking if they could post something, and I was like, I don't really want to have a whole bunch of separate posts, so let's just do it in one thread for that. And I'll probably update those and start new ones every once in a while. So cool, Nicole, look into that. So who's enjoying their coffee this morning? I got my Choose Happy cup again. I'm kind of having to angle down. Here, let me see if I can get my seat go down. So I don't have to angle as much. So what else is going on with you guys today? So I did the Facebook Live a little bit differently today. I did it within the Build Your Best QBO practice group instead of just on the QBOchat page. So I actually feel like I'm getting more participation today because it's in here. So maybe I need to do it in here. I don't know. Why didn't that update over here? Okay, Stephanie, you have a potential client meeting today for receipt organization and new QBO setup for next year. That's awesome. What do you like to use for a receipt bank? I just answered the question a little bit. For receipt organization, it doesn't have to be receipt bank. There's auto entry. There's HubDoc. There's a million different things. But yeah, what do you like to use? Oh, Nicole, you were doing taxes? Yeah. I was in the tax department for a month. True story. And yeah, so right out of school, I cannot talk about how much of an awesome degree accounting is, and how it's unheard of that you get a job before you graduate. So at least back in the day, and this was a year after Anderson fell. So there were still jobs to be had and everything. But it wasn't as great as it was maybe a year or two before, where, it was just insane. But so the year I graduated, the December before I graduated in May, the December before, I had an offer for a full-time job, and which I accepted, and it was going to be with Tauber and Balzer, who's no longer in existence. They were acquired by Haybiff, H&W in Atlanta, which is now Aprio. It changes names. The longer we get away from it, from that time when I started, the more changes there are. So amazing, right? But with all that, so I started out, I was hired into tax. I loved tax in college. I was great at it. We had, I know this is how we gear ourselves, but we would have our tax exams, I'd be one of the first ones to finish every single time. I love the like, here's the rule, the law, here's how you apply it, here's da 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 da, all that stuff, and the research of it and whatever. So I got hired into the tax department. I started out in May or June. I started my position. So, you know, a really busy time of the year for tax people, not really. So they weren't doing much. And at the same time, Tower and Balzer had just brought in a whole group of people for a forensic department. And so I had experience working for a lawyer, being like an admin for a lawyer, doing all of their stuff. And so I understood a little bit of the legal stuff of things. And so they had me come in and start doing work for them for the summer. So, because they needed help and I wasn't doing much in the tax department. And so after about a month or so of doing stuff, they posted within the firm that they were looking for someone, a staff person to hire and everything, basically writing the job description for me to join. And I was like quiet about it. I wasn't saying anything about it. And I remember one of the partners came over, pulled me into an office. He's like, you know, they wrote that job description for you, right? And I was like, and I'm like, okay. And so I switched over there and I still got flack from the tax people. Some of the tax people, like, that's a bad career choice and because that was kind of before forensic accounting got cool. So, wow, I spent a lot of time doing stuff before it gets cool, right? But, yeah, so forensic accounting did that for several years. Fun times. Stephanie, the customer already has an Excel sheet set up they use, but I prefer HubDoc. So, but the Excel spreadsheet isn't for the receipts itself, right? So, I don't know. How are you going to organize the receipts? I mean, they already have stuff. And then, you know, are you going to use the, like, downloads from the banks to get the transactions and all the fun stuff on setting up? So, hi, Laura. How are you guys today? How's everyone doing this week? Well, it's a nice Tuesday. It's a little sad because it's 9/11. Do you guys all remember where you were that day? I was working for that lawyer in college. And we had like this tiny little black and white TV. Like, it was like you flip open TV, like portable. I don't know, but the screen itself was like black and white like this. So I was watching everything on that while supposedly doing work. So, yeah. Bad days. What else is going on this week? Anything fun? So, you guys want to hear something a little, me being totally honest with you guys and totally transparent on stuff? So, you know, I have that, the advanced QBO principles course. Just trying to fix my hair. It's not doing what I wanted to do. Day after hair. So yeah, I have the advanced QBO principles course, and I put out that post asking for people, like, I had availability this September to add another class, and the majority of people asked for the advanced QBO class. And so I set it up and everything, and then I sent out the marketing, whatever, and I had 2 people sign up for it. So 2 people is not enough for me to hold a class. I really need like 10 at the minimum, and it's still a little quiet when it's 10. So I had to postpone the class, which sucks. I just feel like really crappy having to tell people like I can't hold a class. So and issue refunds for them. Hopefully, what the weird thing is like, because I'm pushing it in, I still have the availability for the October 1st advanced QBO course. So that's there. I'm really fingers crossed, hoping that I can get my 10. Because, yeah, it's bugging me that I can't get this class filled. Which there's things that it comes to tell me of, one, do people want, I think people want an advanced course, but are they wanting to commit to something for a month for an advanced course? And then 2, I need to look back. The times that I've offered the advanced course, what time of the month am I offering? Because maybe there's a time of the month that is harder for people to sign up for trainings, which I'm wondering if it's like month-end time. If I'm offering like that as a registration time, they're just too busy to be looking at other stuff to sign up. So I have some kind of like analysis and stuff that I need to do, so that just goes to show you, this is the stuff that we need to be doing as business owners too, of kind of what's working, what's not working. So signing people up for trainings and doing trainings, I'm able to say, okay, this one didn't work, and doing a couple a month or something, I'm able to say, okay, what didn't work in this instance to get registrations, blah, blah, blah. So like, what am I going to change up on the marketing going forward? So it's a little harder on when you're doing bookkeeping and trying to sell that as a package and everything, I know. But you want to look at, what's working for you, how are people coming to you, and how can you capitalize on that and repeat it? Because the whole thing is that we're doing these experiments almost of how do we get clients, and then once you find a way that works, you want to hone in on that and try to, make it a system so that it really works a lot. And, you don't want just one way of getting clients. You want a couple. But it can definitely be like it's a process, and you're trying to crack the code of what that sales process is. So Laura, I saw your daughter turned 17 on Friday. Happy birthday to your daughter. That is awesome. And then Stephanie, I have very little info so far, but it seems as if they have a process they prefer to use, but I'm definitely going to listen to their concerns and make recommendations on how to make the process more efficient, like using HubDoc. And, if they have a system that works and you're able to fit in your system to that, like plug your system in with their system, you don't necessarily have to make them change. It could be something that you suggest down the road for them. But yeah, like definitely looking at their concerns, because that's one of the things I talk about with leads. It's like one of the first things, like, what's your pain point right now? What's your biggest struggle? And then I go after that first, because it might be the underlying things are always the same, like organization and just not knowing where they are and keeping on a routine. They say it in different ways. So trying to understand how, like what is that pain point, and how can I, again, plug in my services and my stuff to what they're doing. I've learned that the more you can plug in your stuff and the less adapting you do of your system, the better. Because when you start adapting, I feel like you then start losing profitability, because you're having to recreate systems and redo stuff and, set up back to like that system, that flow that you have for the sales process. You want processes in every part of your practice. So if a client's steering you away from your practice or your routine of things, then it cuts down on your profitability. It takes up more brain power. It can take up more time, that sort of thing. That's, when I say brain power, I feel like accounting and bookkeeping should be easy. Like once you get the process done, you know, we have the education, we have the experience, we know what we're doing, we know QuickBooks Online, all that sort of stuff, right? We have that foundation of everything. So we should be able to communicate with the client, figure out what their needs are, and then utilize our system to do it. And when I go out with pricing and stuff, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to do these tasks. And generally it's going to take this much time based off of how many transactions or how complicated or whatever it is. But I'll set up a system that's repeatable and just keep on doing it. Like, it shouldn't take up a lot of brain power. The setting it up can take up brain power, but the actual doing should not take too much brain power. If it is, then your templates and your systems aren't down yet. So in my mind, it's like there's how much time does it take for someone to actually complete it, not necessarily investigate and solve it. Like, that's a higher level of brain power. You know, that's where you get a headache at the end of the day and stuff. So that should cost more in my mind. Like, if you're going to give me a headache, that might cost you more. Because, yeah, there's more I have to, like, systems I have to set up to make sure I'm not making mistakes and whatever. So I do that a lot. Everything I do, I have checks and balances in place to make sure that everything is right. But yeah, the bigger the client, the harder it is to track that. All those fun things. So, God, I cannot get my hair where I want it to be. So, how's it going? Choose happy. I can't get the light to. There we go. Choose happy. Anyone else have any questions or anything they want to share for today? Tuesday, 9/11. We're at 9:02 a.m. When were the towers hit? I thought it was 9 o'clock. Which tower was hit first? Oh. In addition to unique terrorism, they were timeline for the day. So it looked like 8:46. Flight 11 crashes into North Tower. And then 9:03 right now crashes into the South Tower. And then 9:37, the other one goes into the Pentagon. Oof. And then 9:59, the South Tower collapsed. And at 10:03, which one? Oh, 10:03, the one that was hijacked and the people helped take it over. That one was crashed in southeast of Pittsburgh at 10:03, and then so 30 minutes after the first tower collapsed, the North Tower collapses. Ugh. Brenda, you say, what are some of your checks and balances? Do you have a checklist? Yes. So I have checklist. I do month end every month for my clients. Within that, I have a checklist, and month end for me is making sure everything's right for that month. So it might not be a hard close, but it's okay. Did everything get in the right place? Everything right? Did all that sort of stuff? But then also if I'm doing specific tasks for clients, if I'm doing invoicing, then I'll have a spreadsheet of like, what are the specifics of the invoicing? What do we need to follow? All that sort of stuff. Because I've done, usually when a client needs help with invoicing, it's because it's really difficult or really detailed. So like I have one client right now where we invoice the time for each individual worker every 2 weeks. So I have to remember what the every 2 weeks is. I have to make sure they get their time in. I got to make sure that the hourly rate for those people is the correct hourly rate that they're contracted with per customer. I also have to make sure that they're emailed to the correct place. And then there's one I have to submit online. One of the invoices I have to submit online and do that. So there's specific ways on all of it. And then so I've done this spreadsheet. So there's a sheet at the end. It's like a check to make sure that everything evens each other out. And I also run off of the unbilled report in QBO to make sure that I'm getting everything on there that's unbilled. So yeah, basically I've looked at how, one, I worked with them to try to set up like a process that works. They were entering their time into QBO. Okay, right? So then I set up different product services for each of the employees that had the right billable rate. But then I still have a test in my spreadsheet to make sure that that billable rate is accurate. So it's not getting overwritten or anything like that. So one thing that's come up recently is like, I think one of the employees is changing time after I think it's been submitted. So usually I create the invoices every week, or I work on the invoices every week. So 1 week I just have it in holding. Is that, so I'm doing every 2 weeks, right? 1 week I have it just sitting and holding so that I know everything matches out. And then next week I finish it up and send it out. Well, since he's changing it, I was like, I'm not even creating his invoice yet. So I'm going to have to make sure I'm tracking that and make sure it gets there. So what do you do when client fails to give you all their invoices before close? So Brenda, invoices or receipts too. So, okay, there's a couple of things. One, I'm in the US first, right? So I've come to learn a little bit about like Canada. You have to have the support for transactions and the taxes up there and everything it's different, right? In the US, we have to have support if there's an audit, right? If there, if the IRS comes knocking or the state comes knocking or whoever comes knocking, right? And at that point, you need to have the support. We need the support, but it doesn't necessarily have to be tied to every transaction because let's be honest, what is the rate of audits in the US? How often are businesses audited and that sort of thing. I actually will, tell my clients, I have no problem if you put everything in a shoebox. I mean, just keep it in case you need it. But so many of my clients are service-based and they're doing subscriptions and all that. So many of those receipts are in email, not in physical receipts. It's more like just the meals and stuff. And even with that, there's a rule where, what's the minimum receipt dollar amount? Was it $25 or something like that? That you have to actually provide a receipt for. So there's all of those things. So yes, that comes back to my issue of like support. So one, I'm not asking for support for all of those receipts. If they provide it to me, great, but I'm not going to track them down. I pretty much know if you're charging something to somewhere, I know how to code it. If it's more complicated, then yes, we need to have those, if I need to split them out and stuff like that, then I need to put that information. I need that information so I can get it in. So, is that going into HubDoc? Is that going into Bill.com? Is it going into some other system? That sort of thing. Then with invoices, we're one, why are they doing invoices and it's not going into QBO? They're doing it on their own. Find some way that we can automate that. And, please tell me I know it's likely. If they're doing Word or Excel, reiterate to them how many times they're making math errors in that. Because I know it's probably happening. And they're losing money off of it, and they're looking dumb to their customers if the math isn't right. If they're perfect all the time, great. Is there a way to share a Dropbox folder with you? There's something, there needs to be a way for you to pull the information instead of you asking for the information and them providing it to you. Because as soon as that happens, when you have to ask and then you get it. So like they need to push it to you. It's going to be delay, right? Because the accounting part is not their priority. So you have to find a way to set up things where it automatically pulls to you. So is it something, maybe they're sending out invoices and they have to carbon copy like an accounting email every time or something like that, or blind copy the accounting email every time, or whatever system they're using, find some way to connect that to QBO or so that way you're pulling the information and you don't have to manually enter it, and two, wait on them, because the longer you have to wait on them, the longer the delay, the harder the relationship feels, because they're like, well, why isn't the accounting done? But they should know it's their fault, but they don't. It's like, well, why isn't this just done? So if you find a way to just pull it from them, then you don't have to worry about it just being done. Like, you are doing it, and you don't have to wait on them for anything. So that's why I use HubDoc. If I can't get into HubDoc or get bank information, then I want it to be set up as an admin user on your bank account so that I can get access to the statements or whatever. I want to have access to all the information I need as all the time, whenever I need it, so that I don't have to wait on the client, because that just takes too long. Laura saying, how many years do you keep the information, like the receipts and invoices? Go to ask a tax preparer. I don't know what the rules were. I mean, a while. I want to say like 10 years, but I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have an answer, because there's something about, like, this is how many years ago was when I was in tax. There's something about, like, the IRS can go back so many years for an audit, but then it can pull, if they do that, then it can pull even more years or something like that. I don't know. Tax preparers know that. So, this has been a very productive coffee with Cathy, because let me tell you, the ones I did just on the QBOchat Facebook page didn't really have many people asking questions. I was talking to myself for a long time, just talking to myself, just having a old fun time. So I love these questions. So, okay, so Laura says, some says 7, some says 5. Brenda, I would go with Brenda, 10 years, then I'm sure she has some sort of information behind that. If anyone has a link as to, that explanation, that'd be great. You might even want to check, like, the HubDoc or Receipt Bank or the auto entry websites or something. They might have that information on there as to how many years you need to go back. But again, Canada, what I'm learning, is so much more of a beast with receipts, that this is why we see so many people embracing Receipt Bank and auto entry and stuff up there, because of the need and the requirement to have these receipts available like almost instantaneously. So it's just a different world. Like I still don't comprehend all of it, but yeah, there's different rules around that. So there's that. It's a harder sell. I feel like in the States it might be a harder sell for those apps sometimes, like just the receipt apps or the fast entry. Trying to fix the hair, nothing does it. The IRS can go back indefinitely if they suspect fraud. 7 years if they find a trend. 3 years is standard review. Cool, thank you. So what is your recommendation, Kat, for how long to keep receipts and stuff? And then Brenda, do you have or do a HubDoc training? I talk about HubDoc a little bit in my month-end masterclass. It's hard because, so Kat, you were recommending 7 years? Okay, cool. So yeah, in the month-end masterclass or course, but my point is it's hard to show HubDoc because it's like personal information. So if I do it, I'm showing my account and it gets a little crazy in there. But I think they have some good videos on things. I don't know. But, and did you guys know that HubDoc was acquired by Xero, like within the last month or two? So I assume the relationship's going to stay the same with QuickBooks, and we're still, going to have integrations and all that sort of stuff. Now, do you even use HubDoc for that integration? You might not. So I don't, I use HubDoc because it automatically pulls statements from the client's bank accounts and credit card accounts. And especially now in the days of two-factor authentication, where you have to like log in and then you get a text ID or something, and then you have to text the client for that ID. If you're using their login, you have to text them for that ID. They send it back to you so you can get back in. And that works like every, you keep that one time you log in or whatever. Good. When you sign up for HubDoc, a rep will call you and give you an overview. And I'm hoping you get like a 30-day free trial then, or even 7 or 14-day free trial. But it's good that they'll work through it. It's cool because it connects to a lot of different apps too. So like I can pull in, so American Express, that comes in, right? I can have it automatically set to send to bill.com for me. So that, and it's coded and everything like that. So that'll flow to bill.com. And when I'm doing bill.com, I can do my approvals, and then my clients can pay through there. But you can also set it up so that bills come in or something like that in HubDoc, and you can code it to QBO and push it there. But like I said, most of the time I'm just using it to pull as statements. And the good banks will give you cleared checks and cleared deposits, so that the checks you got for the deposits. So that is like gold for me, because again, I want to pull the information. I don't want to ask the client for information to come to me. So if I already have cleared checks, cleared deposits, everything I need to get the information I want, then I'm golden. And I like the cost of it. So I think if you just have one client, it's like $20 a month, and it goes down from there. Of course, they can always change their pricing. But for me, in my time going with the clients, it's worth $20 to me in my time, instead of having to communicate with the client, make sure that I'm, they're available via text to get that authentication number and blah, blah, blah. Or do they even want to give me access to the to the bank and all of that stuff. So yeah. Okay, Brenda, you use QBO to download bank statements. Would HubDoc be better? So unless I'm missing something. So I think there was a little bit of a trial of getting bank statements, but with QBO, you're mostly downloading bank transactions. which is great, but I still want to do a bank reconciliation at the end of the month based off of the bank statement, not based off of the bank feed that says what the balance is per the bank versus what the balance is in QBO. I actually do it off of the bank statement. Now, if everything is working correctly with your bank feed and you're working all of that correctly, you still want to be connected to the bank that way. And you don't have to worry necessarily too much about the two-factor authentication. Then it's my my monitor just shut off on me. I was looking at that. Sorry, totally distracted by that. Okay, yeah, so there's getting all the bank transactions for the bank feeds that you want to have. But then you also want to have your bank statement saved to be able to reconcile at the end of the month. And you want that on the credit cards and loans and all of that. So that way you have that third-party verification. And again, if something goes wrong with the bank feeds, you have the information there that you can do stuff. But assuming everything's right, your bank rec should take 5 seconds. It should not take longer. So when it takes longer, it's because the clients are doing the bank feeds. Something happened, like disconnected or something like that with the bank feed. The client's receiving payments or doing there's some sort of other party coming into it that makes transactions that are not accurate or duplicate transactions or that sort of stuff. And that's where the bank feed slows down, or the bank reconciliation slows down. But otherwise, if you're doing it, it should all be like seconds. Yeah, so Stephanie, you said which bank feeds seem to be messing up a lot lately. So if you've seen all these emails about how new bank connections are coming soon and stuff, so it looks like Intuit they're working with the banks to build new connections with the banks to get the data in, right? The bank feeds in. So, and I don't know necessarily all the politics behind it and everything, but I can make assumptions. So as of right now, QBO is a pretty big operator, right? And we have these bank feeds, which are amazing. But they're pulling data from the bank, right? And that's a constant draw on the bank, the technology and everything like that. We're pulling that data in. So, which is open, and is not costing, our customers or our clients anything, shouldn't be. And so I feel like it's gotten to the point where the banks might be saying, there's all this technology needed and upkeep and whatever, or work or maintaining or oversight or something like that. So we need to build something better. And I feel like that's what's happening. Again, don't quote me on that. I just feel like it. And so they're making these connections better. They're building these connections with Bank of America and the big banks right now, and I'm sure they'll keep on going. But we're getting emails saying like, hey, you have this new connection soon and you need to connect it and because we're going through that phase right now, I feel like that's why bank feeds are messing up. Because I've had bank feeds come in as like debits and credits are flipped. Things aren't like Wells Fargo just hasn't been pulling in for a week or two. Those sorts of stuff. So yeah, they've been wonky for a little bit. But I feel like once we get over this and we get the new connections and stuff like that, it'll be better. I'm hoping. I'm really hoping. So, but that's what I think is happening. No official, this is not Intuit. This is not, just me guessing. Completely guessing. So, and the banks at some point, I mean, think about this. The banks with so many people on desktop for so long, they were getting what, $10, $15 a month for that connection to desktop. And with more people moving to QBO, they're losing out on that revenue because it's been because the connection before actually allowed you to write checks through the online banking in desktop, where QBO doesn't. It's just pulling. It's not creating anything on that side. It's just pulling information. But that means, again, banks could be missing out on revenue, and with times change, we know how banks change over time. Like sometimes you get free bank accounts, sometimes you don't. It's all within what's happening in the economy, and so we might see something where we start getting charged for this, or they're trying to find an easier way so they don't have to charge us for it, or don't have to charge us as much, or something like that. Or maybe they provide a value add where they'll actually push documents into the bank feeds or something. That would be super cool, right? If they had the check like in there or something, then they might charge you for that. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen from this? And it'll be interesting to see. So what else? I mean, I've been on for like a while, so I'm probably going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you for the questions and the comments. I definitely want to do it again soon. I'm definitely going to do it within the Facebook group, so that's awesome. That was my test, right? I talked about that earlier. Like, what am I testing and how did things work? So I got a lot more interaction within the group. Awesome. And I will do this again, definitely. So thank you. Have a great day. And prayers and best thoughts for 9/11. Never forget. Okay. Love you guys.